Hi, and welcome to an episode of the Jet Rails podcast. I'm Robert, your host. Today, we're going to be talking about Magento extension insights for 2021. Uh, get some updates on what's going on in the market and some ideas of what's important. With me today, we have Sergej, who heads up the team at Amnesty, one of the most popular Magento extension development teams. And with no further ado, Sergej, would you do us the honor of introducing yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Yes, definitely. I'm from Elasti. My name is Sergej, and I'm Chief Executive Officer at Elasti. So you basically already announced Elasti is one of the best extension developers, and that's true. I hope it's true, and I hope that all listeners are going to agree with us.
Yeah, and back to my agency days, I know that we used extensions from a few different development teams pretty consistently. That Amnesty is known for having a wide variety, which means that you can get extensions that typically work together, fewer conflicts, things like that. I know that the team here at Jet Rails has some favorite Amnesty extensions that relate to web hosting. That things that have to do with SMTP for managing emails being sent off server from wherever emails are being hosted for the e-commerce merchant, things to warm up the cache. Certainly from the Magento 1 days, just the caching extension was very popular for our users. And even these days, things like the Magento site speed tool that your team has to help bring up Magento page speed scores. So it just gives the listeners an idea that there's a lot going on there, that extensions mean a lot of things to a lot of people, because there's so many facets front of the website, back end, user experience, operations, things that come together. So you joined the Amnesty team about a year ago, and what's changed since you took over leadership of the company? Obviously, it's been probably not the year that you planned in some ways, I would think. I would hope.
Yeah, definitely. The year 2020, I believe, was unexpected for all population of our Earth, and definitely it wasn't the year I planned to have as the first year this position. And you said were great things about different kinds of compatibilities about extensions, and usually it's the most popular topic in Magento world. When you have so many different extension providers, how to make sure that all your extensions are compatible. And one of the goals for the last year was to make sure that when you are buying extensions from at least one extension provider, you shouldn't have these issues. And we paid like huge attention to this topic. We've covered almost everything what it was possible to cover with MFTF tests to make sure that we are able to run as many regressions as possible in different combinations. And we're trying to test our extensions with each other in different combinations just to make sure that there are no obvious conflicts between them. And for sure, every Magenta release should be also tested. So it's tremendous work that our QA team is doing now every quarter, because we have great cadence from Adobe to release Magento every quarter. So we have a lot of fun with testing, and I believe, I hope our users are going to agree with us, with me, in this way, that compatibility of our extensions are going better and better with every release. So it's one of the things we accomplished, and we are still working on it and trying to make it even better and better. More MFTF tests, more different combinations, variations of testing. We started promoting different kind of packages where we're saying that we 100% sure that they're working together as correct as possible, and there are synergy between them. For example, our layer navigation has got premium version last year. It's called this way, and there you can find not just one product, but like a set of products that working perfectly together, for more profit for our merchants.
Yeah, and I think it's always interesting that sometimes it's not about net new extensions. It's about better compatibility, about better features for the existing ones. I know features that are part of Magento's core that sometimes I hope and I wait to see it through, Magento new version releases. Will there be improvements to them? And some yes, and some not so much. But I imagine that for your team, that's a big part of what you do. It's pulling these things together, bringing more value. That each extension that you have onto itself has its own value proposition to the market, and you've got to keep that strong. But you mentioned some of your packages and things, and just for our listeners, before we started recording, Sergej mentioned to me that he wanted to do some giveaways in today's episode. We're somewhere around 60 episodes here on the Jet Rails podcast, and we haven't done that yet. So that's kind of exciting for me. So sometime later in the episode, I'm just going to cue up Sergej to start giving away the farm, and we'll see what he can throw at us. But I'm going to keep powering forward with a little bit, because you mentioned different versions of Magento and having to keep compatibility. I was taking a look at the Magento marketplace earlier, just keeping an eye, getting a feel for how many extensions your team currently had there and what was there. And I noticed that there were a lot more for Magento open source, community edition, than for Magento Commerce for the enterprise versions. What are your thoughts around that? Is that purposeful? Is that with some kind of concerted effort to put out more for the open source community?
It's a good question, because I believe that popularity of Magento itself is very tightly related with the topic of open source. There are a lot of great competitions here, like Shopify, BigCommerce. We have a little bit not so developed competitors, for example, in this game, that are trying to do good job. But here, when we're talking about Magento, you have great thing. You have a control over everything. You can host where you like to host. You can set up what you would like to set up in the way you would like to, and control that every piece of your data is placed and safe as in a way that you believe it's the best way to treat it. Because it's very important when you are working for a big company somewhere in Europe or United States of America, where there are a lot of different regulations about data privacy. And you need to make sure that everything is secured and every piece of customer data is safe. And here you can make sure that it's definitely treated as you would like to be treated. That's why I believe that open source part of Magento Community Edition, it's a great driver, but it has some disadvantages. For example, there are some features that Commerce version has. And we're trying to help our clients to make sure that they're able to drive their business with all perfect features that maybe not one-to-one that they can get from Commerce version, but at least some variation of these features. And we're making it possible.
Yeah, I imagine some of those extensions that your team builds are probably more feature rich than the native commerce features. Others might not be quite the same, or might not have certain things. So it's probably a plus or minus depending on which. That kind of gets me thinking. A lot of the time, um, open source merchants, they want to know what they're missing out on with commerce. They want to understand what those features are and if they should be using them. I mean, thinking of it like a software suite, how many people use Magento or Microsoft Word or Excel and use every feature available? Not that many. There's always a lot out there that goes unused or underutilized, based on resources, based on needs, based on, in this case, in e-commerce, the type of business, the types of customers, and the staffing and resources available. But would you say that through the use of extensions that you can get pretty close to what you'd have with Magento Commerce by just adding a variety of extensions to open source? Probably going to be a lot cheaper in a lot of ways than the long-term licensing fees for commerce, especially for those smaller users that might not really fully benefit from the commerce license.
No, it's a good question. And basically, the answer is somewhere where we already started it. It's between offices, for example. At the moment, you can get Microsoft Office with like any possible features you ever would need and even more. And for example, I don't know, Google Office, like how they call it, Google Suite.
Mm-hmm.
You can get there almost the same features and probably even more than you need. But like number of features could be different. I'm not sure that those I'm missing are so useful or like very frequently used. But the problem is that when user spends some time with Microsoft Office, he feels the difference. I don't know if it's a good or bad, but he feels the difference. And then when you switch into another Office pack, for you always it's a question like if it's comfortable for me or not. Does it suits my basic needs or not? And here the same. We are trying to do all our products based on needs of our clients. We are doing a lot of researches, trying to understand what is really needed to drive your business properly, how it could be like implemented in the best and more user convenient way. But then it could be a little bit different on how it's implemented in Commerce Edition. And I don't know, like some people are going to say that, okay, it's not the same. Yes, it's not the same. We implemented it's on our own, trying to do our best to make it like better, more user friendly. But like if you already got used to something, for you it's going to be like pain. But like from other perspective, you haven't seen like the initial feature implemented in commerce version. Possibly this one is going to be the best you ever seen, right? So it's based on your experience. So I would say that we're trying to implement our products in a way that they're going to help you suit your needs based like on your requirements. For example, we have B2B suite, and based on your requirements, we have like 3 different versions, like Light, Pro, and Premium. And you can find any feature you like there. Probably not everything you could find in commerce version, but we tried to make it at least.
I'll have to check it out. I would guess there's probably some things that aren't in Magento Commerce that are in your B2B suite, and vice versa. And I think that that's also part of the interesting thing is when you get into a feature set like that B2B suite. If you look at what a Magento Commerce user is going to do with Magento Commerce's native B2B features, those are pretty basic. They're often going to do a lot of customization to those anyway. So, it's a good building block. And I think that that's sometimes the nature of the real conversation is it's not always, okay, how much is the commerce license? How much are is it to buy an extension? It's what do I actually need? And what's it going to look like to get to that? I've certainly through the years seen Magento Commerce users that have, even though Magento Commerce has reward points, they're using a third party system. Even though it has gift cards, they're using a third party system for a variety of different reasons. Sometimes it was because of API connectivity. Sometimes it was compatibility with other extensions. That I think that the nuance sometimes gets lost in the conversation when it's completely about the commercialization and not the engineering.
Yeah, it's always like an open question: what is better and how to implement it. But what we're trying to do, we're trying to make sure that our user, regardless where he sits, like in the terms of the platform, it's commerce, it's open source, community edition, both are very user friendly and given a capability to solve business questions. For example, about uh, like reporting BI system from Magenta that works only for e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, we would like to use it our own and maybe build something based on this product for community edition, but it's not available for community. It's available only for commerce version. And that's why we decided to build a new product. Coming soon page is going, maybe it's already released today. It's going to be released under the name Custom Report Builder. So probably you need some kinds of report that are not available in standard version, and you need something special just for you. And we would like to integrate it in our products. As more MST products you are getting, more reports are available in this product.
Well, and it makes sense. And it also goes a little bit back to the open source core. I remember when Magento acquired RJ Metrics, which, to my understanding, became the building block that led to Magento Business Intelligence, Magento BI. And Magento BI is more of a SaaS product. It's not part of Magento's core. And so when you have an issue or you need some customization, you don't necessarily have the ability to do what you want to do with it. I've seen even in the Magento community forums, merchants get hung up that they have a problem and they can't do anything about it. That it's more of a black box that for open source users is not always going to meet the needs or expectations. And I think that's, and I'm sure that it continues to evolve and, lots of good things. It doesn't mean that it's not useful or valuable. But is it going to meet everyone's business need? Maybe not, depending on the situation. So being able to have reports that sit outside of there and that I imagine that you could do more customization to, that's always a net benefit in my book, in being able to have that level of control. Kind of going back to something you said earlier about SaaS versus open source in terms of, there are these other e-commerce platforms where you're giving up a lot of your data, you're giving up a lot of control, a lot of flexibility. That's that's some of it. As web hosts, we love leaving as much flexibility in there as we can, as long as it's staying PCI compliant and, in general, fast, secure, scalable, reliable, as much flexibility as is needed belongs there, as opposed to trying to have to make everything work within some kind of a prefab hosting environment. We really want to tailor an architect around the needs of the Magento merchant. And you lose a lot of that as you go to, more of those prefabricated, cookie cutter environments where everyone's got to do it the same way, have the same everything. That's the power of open source, is keeping it. And I'm going to go back to some of the packages that you were talking about, how your team's been creating some of these and putting things together, and how you've been adding new features like pro versions and things. I noticed that there are more and more where there's the Lite, the Pro, the Premium. How did that come about? Was it that you saw someone else doing it, or you saw maybe that was an easier way to help, to help the merchant get what they needed specifically. Uh, because I know that some of the challenge sometimes with having a lot of different extensions and a lot of different options, it's about analysis paralysis. It's too much to choose between. It slows people down. What was the goal in mind with creating more unique packages, maybe catered toward more unique users?
No, it's a good bridge from previous topic to this one because basically the problem is always the same: flexibility versus speed, or flexibility versus, I don't know, usability. And this is the main core problem. Like, I would like to confess I'm not from e-commerce world. So when I started this position, it was very important for me to understand how user behaves. I am a like simple merchant. I would like to open my e-commerce shop as soon as possible. What I should do? I'm going to websites of different vendors. I'm getting huge variety of different extensions. What should I pick up? What is my favorite, the best extension I should use to make my like eShop as soon as possible with less conflicts, like with minimal number of conflicts, with minimal risk. So we started from this point, how to make the choice of the customer easy and most suitable to his needs. And here it is. If you would like to try something, start with light version. If you already understand what you got from light version, you can extend it using pro version. If you understand that you need even more because your business is growing fast, you have more sophisticated needs, use premium version. So it's no brainer, like easy selection at any time. I'm going about navigation. Everything I need to know about navigations, light, pro, or premium. It's a easy shop, easy start. Is it like advanced shop? Or I going to be like as sophisticated as possible with all possible settings? The same about like shipping, the same about promotions. So everything you need just to select like from three different packages,
Yeah.
but not think how many different packages extensions I need to combine together to get this result.
So I guess that part of the benefit of that is that the merchant can really choose what they need. They don't need to take on more code and more technical debt than they actually need to meet their goals. They also, I suppose, if I want to think about it this way, that the merchant can also uh, you know, get more of that flexibility when it comes to their budget, to being able to say I only need the light version of this versus I want everything, and they're not stuck with just the one option. So that's nice. We've been seeing a lot of industries go this way. There's some car manufacturers now that you get the car, but you have to pay some extra fee for the software upgrade or what have you to unlock certain features, or same hardware. You don't have to drive back to the dealership. So it keeps one production line. Everyone gets the same physical item, but if you want to take advantage of those extras, then there's some sort of fee there. And
Yeah,
I think to
it's
some
very good
extent it makes
example.
sense. It makes it easy on the consumer, especially with something like this where we're talking code, and, where you can really choose your adventure.
Yeah, it definitely it's one of like one part of the story. It's how you would like to select the proper configuration of a specific item. If I would like to buy like luxury car, I'm probably going to make it in a leather, and it's going to be another set of like advanced packages, right? Here we are talking about premium version. Okay, but maybe I would like just to have huge engine and like fast transmission. Then it's going to be pro version, and they're not necessary to go together. Maybe you would like to get everything. It's also fine. But the main problem in our world of Magento extensions that you don't need, you need accept extensions to think about like the core system. It's about your UI. It's about theme. And it was another challenge for us. That's why we introduced our theme, just to make sure we are able to guarantee not just test it with each other extensions, but also extension tested with our theme. That's how Jet theme came. And now we are able to say that, okay, if you are getting our extensions, like specific group, you already can get them with pre-built theme. Or in the opposite way, if you are getting our theme, we already have pre-built and like made as good as possible several extensions inside, just to make sure that they are working without any conflicts.
Well, I have to break in there to say that I love the name. That I really think that things should have Jet at the beginning of their names. So you had me already at Jet, but how did the Jet theme get its name? Is there a story there?
Yeah, we had a competition. Like it was 100% contest. So every person in MST was able to suggest one's own name for our theme. And we had a short list of several examples, and then we agreed that the best one is Jet because it basically shows what we would like to show with our theme. So the main target for Jet, like jet plane, jet theme, it's a small, very fast plane that suits your needs, but has nothing except it. So basically, it was the idea behind Jet theme. We wanted to make it as simple as possible for developers to make it convenient, like we're saying, user friendly. We would like to make it developer friendly, so they can easily combine different extensions, like from Elastic portfolios with it without any problems, and it has very nice user interface. So it's easily assembled and good looking. So basically, exactly the same what you are expecting from JetPlay.
Well, that makes sense to me. I guess I was pre-sold on the Jet part, but so it is a common, um, pun intended, theme to the conversation of producing things that put the developers first, because you can market something really well, you can make it sound very cool to the merchant, but when there are a lot of conflicts, when things, when the coding is, I don't want to go too negative, but is messier, is heavier, is going to slow things down, is going to cause more conflicts. Then obviously all the marketing is worthless because you just bought yourself a lot of maintenance, a lot of customization, a lot of work to be able to get everything both working with your site and then to keep up with it. There are a lot of extension developers out there that have created large numbers of extensions that are kind of thrown together, and they might look pretty on the front end, but from the back end perspective, can be a little tough. And so, we've been talking.
Challenge.
Yeah,
It's usually a challenge how to make it very fancy for the users and make sure it's still fast enough. So even here, even with Jet, we have some open, let's say, topics, and we believe we are able to make it even faster, better, and more user-friendly and developer-friendly with upcoming version. So every version, we're trying to make not only functional improvements, but also like performance improvements, for example, or I don't know, maintenance improvement, just to make sure that every time we're adding new feature, we are doing not just good job like for users, but also good job for developers because first you're starting with like small number of features. All of them are looking very fancy, and they are developed very like good and sophisticated way. So they are all great. It's a great, good product. But then you would like to add one more feature, one more feature, one more feature, and it's not so great because you need to add some fixes to make sure it's maintained properly. And basically, you need to rewrite your core to make sure that new extensions, new features working with better performance, that there are no bugs, and so on. And usually it's extra efforts. Users are not able to see them, but they need to pay for them or not. So it's all, it's again trade-off. What I'm going to receive? I'm paying the same amount. Why, like, I should pay more for the same number of features, right? And basically, we're trying to make sure we're advancing our team and our products in both sides, performance-wise, like quality-wise, and feature-wise, just to make sure they're easily extended and like easily supported.
Oh, and speaking of trade-offs, I noticed that your team partnered up with at least one other extension development team, with the team at MageWorks, and I've known their team for years for their SEO extensions, and they've got some cool stuff for advanced custom options, advanced product options, and so they certainly have had longevity in the market as well. What does two extension developers partnering up look like? Is it to build something together, or does it have to do with compatibility?
Uh, First of all, it's about compatibility. And first of all, I would say it's about our customers and our users. And it's based on our strategy that user goes first. And basically, we understand that we are not able to build every extension on our market, right? So you need to focus on something to make it really good. And basically, what we're trying to do to make sure that our users are able to pick up among like larger variety of different products that suits their needs in the best way from one side, but still get guaranteed compatibility. So basically, like one of the aims of our partnership with MageWorks was to make sure that users are able to get extensions from different vendors like Amnesty and MageWorks from the one place, like they are going to be available from our store, getting one support. So there is no brainer where you would like to ask for help. You have just one interface. And what's more important, they are working together. So we have tested them together just to make sure they're working together. And usually, every product we're going to enlist in our website already has like compatibility options. So we're saying that we tested it with like at least Jet Team, with improved layer navigation, with one-step checkout, and so on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, uh, at JetRails, our users get some different tools and benefits outside of the proprietary things that our team provides. We partner with Cloudflare and Sansec and Sakuri and AWS and DigitalOcean and all these different providers and companies. And our users come to us for support on any of it. We handle the configuration and optimization and maintenance and management and all those different things. But that has an impact on our on our support team, on on how we look at our solutions. Has partnering up in that way, where you're bringing these products together, has that impacted your support queues or how you charge for support?
Uh, it's also another part of our story. We're changing the mindset of the support in the industry. We'd like to make sure that support is going not with a single product, but it goes with the company. So currently we started uh, like several subscription plans for our support. You can get just support for our products. You can get like support plus installation for our products, or you can get support plus installation plus configuration plus premium in message in chat contact. And basically, for sure, to make it possible, we're doing a lot of different activities in the support side, like to make sure we're able to cope with this load. So we changed our support system. So now it easily like to automate some parts of it to make sure that no, there are no tickets, like no queries that we are missing, that we have proper escalation points, and it works together to forecast for us like capacity of our team. So we are working not just from tool wise, but also from team wise. We're trying to develop our team, to hire additional people, to extend our support time. I'm not sure if you remember, but for example, like a year ago, our support window was like twice shorter than now.
Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, market shifts and well, and I suppose sometimes these things have to do with demand that comes up, like end of life of Magento 1. I know that we saw and have since seen a lot more movement of merchants upgrading to Magento 2. And so you get more people installing and configuring and dealing with whatever challenges along the way as they set up something new. Probably fewer tickets coming in from Magento 1 users who aren't changing their sites all that much at this point, at least on average. Uh, what does that look like for you? Is that has it been a little bit of a roller coaster and different demand? Any surprises there?
This summer and the time when we've got deprecation of Magento 1 was a little bit unusual because everywhere in the world it was lockdown, like, and you are basically not able to detect what exactly impacted more this market. Was it like COVID or end of life for Magento 1? Basically, we are able to say that we've got like number of clients that were willing to buy more Magento 1 extensions just to make sure they have everything they need to proceed with current site. Because when there is lockdown, where you don't have a stable environment to change your platform, it's not so easy to prepare it, right? And you need to make sure you are able to cope with all challenges you're going to have for the next year with current platform. So we've seen a raise in demand for Magento 1 extensions. And we promised to our users that we're going to support them as long as they're buying them. So if we have demand, we're going to support them. And we have a partnership with Mage One that are doing security patches for Magenta 1. And
Yeah, we partnered with
so far,
them as well. We regularly in touch there for that very reason that we do know a lot of merchants that knew, and a variety of reasons, right? You know, some it was more planned, others maybe a little bit less so, but they knew that they needed more runway on Magento 1. And in that situation, you need security patches. So, you know, Mage One has been a good source for that. I think we've got, you know, some users in our network that are also using Open Mage, but I'd say a lot of folks have signed on for Mage One, just being really a dedicated team providing those security patches, running a bug bounty program. Um, you know, that's been a pretty. I'll say I think it's been really a net benefit to the community because there were a lot of you know, just a lot of folks that started worrying about what they were going to do in that crunch time. And I think that this really gave merchants an option. And, you know, that's sometimes that's all that you can ask for. You know, you have a car, it's getting you to work, you wanted to keep running it. You're really not looking forward to buying a new car right now. It's not a good time for that. And so when you get someone that says, "Yeah, we'll continue to maintain that for you. We'll keep it roadworthy. We not might not be, adding a lot of custom features to it, but we'll keep it roadworthy." Hey, sometimes that's what you need. So I'm with you that I think it's great that teams like yours are also, just like ours, continuing to support with all the hosting security layers and such. Um, Coming together around that. And I'm going to break in here for a second because I do have a few more really good questions lined up. But I did promise listeners that I was going to get you to do some damage here and give away some stuff. So, Sergej, what did you bring for us today?
Yeah, we thought that probably, and we still think that probably it's a very good thing um, to introduce. It's two different options. The first one is going to be for new clients or someone that just starting their business with e-commerce and thinks if we would like to go to some different platforms, for example, we are not sure how much money does it cost to start a website from scratch. That's why we propose several jetpacks. We have performance jetpack where you are able to get our jet theme with our full cache warmer and with our optimizer. So it's like performance pack. We have navigation pack, we have promotion pack, if I'm not mistaken. So there are several jetpacks where you're able to get several great extensions with themes for your website. So you're getting everything you need to make a very soft launch. So we're going to propose 50% discount for any of jetpacks you're able to find in our website based on reference and the options that Robert is going to announce soon, how we're going to give away this present. And another present is going to be for our current existing customers that probably already have bought several extensions from Amasti, but we haven't seen them for a while. We propose 3 months of free support for all your Amasti extensions you have. So it also could be useful to understand if there is something what you would like to consult with our support team and get some help.
Awesome. So I'm going to think, how about we ask our listeners if they're interested in one of these, post something, a comment or repost on social media. This episode will have posts on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook on JetRails accounts. We'll make it easy for you to find those. We're at JetRails pretty much anywhere you look. And
so maybe the most liked post.
I like that. Yeah, the most liked comment or post that references this. That references this this special offer from Amnesty from the JetRails podcast. That would be great. And Sergej, I'm going to jump right back in with the questions because you were mentioning users that might have new features or things that that they're already using some of your extensions, but there are other things that they haven't yet. Are there any specific extensions that you think are particularly compelling, new stuff that launched in the last year or two, or that's just been growing in popularity because of how how e-commerce is evolving and the particular needs of users? I mean, obviously things have shifted. We talk a lot about how users needed to offer curbside pickup or in-store pickup in ways that they might not have in the past, and all sorts of logistics changes and other things happening. Anything that strikes you as really seeing an increased demand in recent time?
Yeah, I believe we've seen the increase in demand in shopping extensions when COVID started. And right now we're renovating some of our shopping extensions, not shopping, shipping extensions. Yeah, everything that's related with shipping was in high demand. Maybe because, like before it was not so critical to have it. Probably it was just normal shop and it was just for their advertising part. So here we are, and nothing special, and you can pick up your package at our points. But probably all these lockdowns caused huge wave of different logistic issues, and people were looking for some resolution for it. And that's why, for example, we changed our release dates and tried to release as soon as possible cancel order feature.
Mm.
Because, there are a lot of issues with different orders. And when you need somehow to aggregate from like admin part all your orders and cancel them properly, it could be a real issue for you. And we try to help our merchants to make their business better, faster, to maintain with load that comes with lockdown. And we released this feature for them. And we started to release other features that possibly would be more useful for them in this period. Probably they are not, the best features in the industry, not the most popular, but from our point, the most useful for that specific time. And now again, taking into account that curbside pickup is very uh, popular, we added it as well, and very soon going to appear. Once lockdown appeared, we've built an option to make any kind of delivery, for example, contactless delivery, based on our custom forms, if I'm not mistaken. So you're able to stop different settings at your checkout and easily set up, for example, I would like to get this package without any contact.
That makes certainly makes sense to me, and fits in, I guess, with some of my expectations of where the market is at. You were also talking about giving users some extra support window to be able to work more closely with your team for a period of time. What are the types of support issues that you see come up a lot? I imagine at first installation, it's a lot of configuration. It's in some cases conflicts with something custom or something more unusual. And I'm going to ask a self-serving question. Do any of these support issues sometimes have to do with the web hosting? I know that we don't run into a lot of that, but we provide more tailored, individually architected hosting. So we'll configure and optimize around something rather than typically have it go back to the extension developers. Uh, is it something? Are these things that your team runs into with frequency? What is it that ties up the support queue, or that users can really benefit from the support on?
You know, uh, Basically, there are at least some groups that I able to remember, like from the top of my head. The first group is like consulting. People are not sure if they need to buy this product or that. They would like to get some more information. Some of them would like to pre-book a demo, for example. We have an option not just take a look at the product in our demo page, like in demo environment, how it works, but also to book time with our support team to take a look at all possible, like say, configuration options or product features in action with help of our support team. So they're usually booking a time and checking if it works great or not, if it suits their needs or not, even before buying it. Some people, for example, already bought the product, but they booked a session just to make sure that they're confident enough to use it properly. Sometimes we're getting configuration questions. For example, when you install in Optimizer, there are way a lot of space like for configuration and for setting up it properly to make sure you're getting as much as possible from your hosting, from your Magenta, and sometimes it could bring you some challenges. What should I set for this option? What should I set for that option? How to make sure that it works properly with my cache? How to make sure that all my images are properly optimized and so on. And basically, we offer here configuration services that you're able to to get with the product. Some people are trying to make it in their own and then asking for help. That's why we introduced this support subscription with configuration. So you're buying extensions, you have questions, you are able to pay once flat rate and understand that you have at least several hours of supporting help with any extensions you already bought at our site.
Yeah. And I can see where I remember one of my agency clients, back in the day, we used the Special Promotions Pro extension to allow them to run different sales, different promotions. And that wasn't particularly unusual. We'd used that extension before, but they were more of a B2B business, and they really wanted to create a lot of very specialized cart rules that would work together. And I spent a lot of time not only building out initial configurations to try to get it to do what they were doing, like with their phone orders. They had very particular rules that if you bought 5 or more of this item, 10 or more of that item, and it had to be cross category, that if you bought from this category, that category, or that category, this product, that product, and that product, and in combination, if you bought in certain quantities, and it was very specific that we needed to meet those specific business rules. And so we installed the extension and told them, here you go. Here's the guide. If you have questions, let us know. Well, that didn't go very long before I got called in. Say, all right, Robert, we don't know how to make this do what we need to do. That there's a lot of different, and this was all admin, but there were a lot of different things happening, and no problem. And so I started building out some samples for them, and then showed them what it was, and then they had a hard time recreating that. And so then I manually made them a guide, step by step, on what I was doing and how they could recreate it. I created documentation for their specific use case. And then by the time that they were done adding all of these, there were so many unique rules across their thousands of products that these rules were all trying to load, and check against the cart in the checkout, that it was slowing down the checkout. And these were sometimes pretty big carts because it was B2B. And now we needed to try to work on what could we do to speed up the cart and the checkout process, because of all the math that it was trying to run to check against all. Does this rule apply? Does that rule apply? And this is one where there were so many hours between myself and my team and my coworkers and the client put in, and that it becomes obvious that getting a little bit of support help can go a long way from folks that really understand use case and have seen a lot of the pros and cons in advance, and might have even been able to advise in advance. If you create that many rules, we see what you're trying to do, that here are some of the challenges, here are our recommendations. Sometimes that extra set of eyes and ears is very helpful. But I digress. It's just a trip down memory lane for me.
By the way, we've done great optimization of our one-step checkout last year. It was a huge project that took a lot of hours from our team. I don't know, the first half of the year, but we introduced new version of our one-step checkout that is way faster than previous one. So it would
That
cope
might have helped a
with
little
such,
too.
yeah, with such kind of
I don't
problems.
doubt it. But this was years ago, and they were simpler times. We just needed 1,000 different promotional, price rules working in the cart. It was no big deal. Yeah.
Okay.
So uh, before we wrap up, I think we've given our listeners, a lot to think about where Magento extensions uh, as the important component in the Magento ecosystem, where they are and where they're headed, and what's going on and what challenges look like. Um, what extensions is your team currently working on? What's the future look like? Um, are you perceiving major changes in demand? I mean, I know that there are some things that are in flux because technology changes. Sometimes it's about regulations uh, and rules. Anything stand out to you that you're excited about?
There are several extensions I would like to mention. Already mentioned custom report builder that's going to be released very soon. Hopefully, maybe I don't want to guarantee something, but maybe by the
I'll put you on
time
the
when
spot.
our
I'm gonna really. I expect it by a hard deadline.
yeah, somewhere like very close to the time when this um, podcast is going to be released, we are expecting to see custom report builder um, somewhere at the beginning of the next quarter. Hopefully, maybe even earlier. I'm not sure, but somewhere there, you're going to see export import by MST. Currently, we have already export solution. We would like to develop it a little bit more and make it more advanced and add their import as well. So we are going to see full solution for export and import from MST, and we would like to work on it all this year long. So it's going to be more and more sophisticated with every release. What else? By the way, you can open our website and see the full product list for this year in our product roadmap. So I'm 100% for transparency. That's why we have all our upcoming features there.
Mhm.
So you can easily check it out.
I don't think you need that up there. They just need to keep listening to the podcast. That's really what this is all
Yeah,
about.
definitely. It's also great. And by the way, there you are able also to comment if you would like to have this feature or not. So it could be a good feedback channel for us. Basically, we are listening all feedback we are getting from our customers, and that's why we've released very small but very high demanded product. It's called custom button. Almost every our client someday asked for custom button. I need just one button that I'm not able to find in Magento anyway. I would like to get it. So we've done extensions, very small extension, but very useful. You can add any custom button you like.
Pretty
We're going
interesting.
to release um, how
I
it's
would not
called.
have thought of needing a custom button as being, a top to, but it makes sense that you see enough recurring demand. But I think you're onto something. So I'm just taking notes here, and I think give the customers what they want.
Yeah, there are a lot of different great things we're planning to release. For example, if I'm not mistaken, very soon uh, we're going to release very small product that is going to be very useful. It's called URL writer, if I'm not mistaken.
That makes sense.
Usually, it's very simple function that admins sometimes need to do. And if you don't have useful interface and like very simple option to make it, it takes time. So it's more to make sure that you're able to make your job properly with as minimum time you need for it as possible. And for example, we are going to release analytic products called Facebook Pixel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also should be useful for our clients, and many,
Interesting.
many more, many updates, many products from our partnership. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just open our website and check for updates.
All right. So it sounds like still a lot of diversity. I do appreciate, because I think that for our listeners, it kind of gives an idea of what market demand looks like, what users' needs look like, and sometimes they're simplistic in some ways. I mean, maybe not technically, but just in terms of what their ask is, it's a one sentence, pretty straightforward kind of a thing. I need this. The work to make that happen is sometimes much more significant than a non-developer would be able to piece together. But it's nice when it's all packaged up and ready to go, and you can buy it, install it, own it. That's great. Well, Sergej, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for all of your time and joining today. We'll keep an eye out for people posting on social, mentioning something fun about this podcast episode, and tagging with Amnesty and JetRails, and we'll be sure to take care of those giveaways that you've offered so kindly. Any parting words as we wrap it up?
It was my pleasure, Robert. Thanks for having me today. I would be very glad to see you again and probably discuss an extension of our partnership story, or how it's going on with our Jet team that is going to be more sophisticated with every release. And for example, maybe this week, maybe when we're going to show this podcast to our listeners, it's already going to be released. It's a Jet team for enterprise commerce, and probably even more and more fascinating stories.
Awesome. Well, you can count on JetRails to be a great place to host a site with that Jet theme, just because we have to. The name is there. We don't really have a choice in that. we'll make sure it's fast and everything else that we do so well. But
should be pre-built.
Yeah.
Jet theme on JetRails.
Hey, we've done stranger things. I like the sound of that. Well, to our listeners, as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy, and happy selling out there.